And former US President Donald Trump has surrendered in Georgia to be arrested on charges of plotting to overturn the 2020 election results in the southern state. The Atlanta jail required him to take the first ever mugshot for a former American president. Remember, Donald Trump had managed to dodge the mugshot in the 3 other criminal cases that he has been indicted in. At the airport on his way home, Trump described the case as a travesty of justice and a sad day for America. Now, Trump has been indicted 4 times and 5 months in the sensational hush money case, and also in his bid to append the election results of 2020. Now, Trump says all the cases, in fact, are politically motivated, according to him, because he is leading the Republican race to challenge President Joe Biden, a Democrat, in next year's presidential election. The former president left New Jersey on his private jet to be booked into the Fulton County jail. He was inside the jail for around 20 minutes. Now, this also has wide-ranging political ramifications. As I mentioned, he continues to be the front-runner in the Republican candidate race. And, he also said that he will return to the White House next year. The Republican candidate race begins in January, and the campaign also begins shortly after for the November 2024 elections. And this also as Trump continues to juggle, trial dates and also Republican candidate debates that have already begun. This is what Donald Trump had to say ahead of the surrender.
What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And everybody knows it. I've never had such support. And that goes with the other ones, too. What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country. We have every right, every single right, to challenge an election that we think is dishonest, that we think is very dishonest.
And let's get you a quick update. Celia Mendoza from Voice of America is joining us. She's joining us from outside the Atlanta County Jail, where all the action is. Celia, what's the situation on the ground? Of course, we also saw some Trump supporters while he was inside jail. But this, of course, is historic because the booking process has yielded several historic firsts, including, of course, the fact that his mugshot has been taken, what we can see on our screens right now.
That's right, Vedanta. What we have seen here in the ground is people that early in the morning showed up to the surroundings of the county jail. They were with signs, some supporting Donald Trump, others against him. And this mugshot was something that was talked about for weeks. We didn't know exactly if this was actually going to take place. But today it was confirmed by the chief of the police that this was going to happen because they want to send a signal that the president and everybody else indicted are not above the law. And also there as the other people that always come here to the jail to get surrendered after they get indicted. We saw many of the Trump supporters talking about the charges, and they agree with the former president that they believe that this is politically motivated. However, some others believe that Donald Trump did commit the crimes that he's accused of. But we have to remember that in the United States, you're innocent until proven guilty. And that's a process that it starts right now. Donald Trump was left on conditional freedom. This is a bail of $200,000 that he agreed with the DA's office, and he will continue his political campaign. But we cannot forget that this is, as you mentioned, the first time that a former president of the United States not only gets surrendered to a jail, but also gets a mugshot taken. And that is something that we can definitely mark in the history books in the United States. And his image is one telling of the feelings that he has about this process.
Also, Celia, what's interesting is that his bail bond is set at $200,000. But what next for Donald Trump in this particular case and also the other 3 criminal indictments that he's facing? And what really are going to be the political ramifications? Because he continues to be the front runner as far as the Republican race is concerned.
Right now, he actually has a very busy calendar between the legal issues. We actually have next Monday, August 28th, a next hearing in Washington, D.C., where the judge, Tanya Chutkan, will decide when the trial in that district will start. Remember, that has to do with the interference on the elections and the 4 charges presented by Jack Smith, who is the special counsel that was assigned to the case, and is actually a federal charges, and they are trying to do it to the beginning of the year. And then we also have the trial that is going to start next year in Miami because of the classified documents. And we know now that in New York, a judge has approved that cameras could be allowed inside the courtroom. We know that he's facing charges there as well. And all of this present a lot of different things that he has to now marry with the fact that he has a campaign to run. He has to keep going to different states, and that's something that he's doing. Politically, we have seen that the Republican base and those that voted for Donald Trump do not change their mind about what is happening. They will vote for him. He is the front runner. He is possibly who is going to win the primary election within the Republican Party. We saw it within the past few hours. They had a debate. He did not participate. He actually had an interview that was posted in social media and had over 100 million views. And then on the other side is what happens in a general election. These 4 cases will be fundamental for voters, especially independent voters. And the case here in Georgia is one of the most consequential, understanding that he cannot get a pardon if he is convicted for the charges. He has 13 charges in this jurisdiction, and one of those has to do with racketeering. That means that anyone that gets convicted for racketeering within the Georgia law has a minimum of jail of 5 years, and a judge cannot change it, and it cannot be pardoned. And the process to pardon someone within the local system is extremely difficult, and that will be something that will be challenging for the president, but also for voters, and eventually for the party if we get to a general election between Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
Also, Celia, lastly, as you also mentioned, Trump seems to believe in this sort of idea that all press, all publicity is good publicity. So are you expecting him to, in a sense, milk this? How much can this sort of stand to his advantage, if at all?
Absolutely. We saw how the former president on the 3 indictments prior was told when he had to go to the court, which day and which hour. In this case, he had the opportunity to decide when he will surrender. It was 24 hours, 7 days a week open, and he decided to do it today, a day after the debate, but also within prime time. Every single network in the United States and around the world were paying attention not only to his every move, but also what he was going to say, how the process was going to work, the motorcade that came to the jail, and also if the police was going to finally do the mugshot. And that mugshot probably will be now used by his supporters to try to gain what they believe is respect for the former president. We know that the campaign has also made money in the past with that.